Hey guys, how is everybody doing? And tonight we got our premiere episode of The Last of Us Season 2 with episode 1 titled Future Days. Now, for those of you who don't know, and for those of you who are just now finding me, I'm a huge Last of Us fan. The Last of Us is my favorite video game of all time. That is my favorite story when it comes to a video game. Out of any video game, that is my favorite story, and it is my favorite video game, and that is the video game that I have played constantly. That is the game I have finished more than any other game. I have so many hours in that game that I probably should have anyways, because like amount of time I put into that game, I could put into my actual living life and actually go outside, which I never do. But that is my favorite video game of all time. I adore that game, and when season 1 of The Last of Us came out back in 2023, so 2 years ago now, I did the same exact thing that I'm going to be doing with this season is where every week I went and did a review for every single episode by week by week. I did that for season 1, and I'm going to be doing it for season 2. Now, when season 1 premiered, I absolutely loved it. That is my favorite video game adaptation. They absolutely adapted that game perfectly in my mind. They did that flawlessly in my mind. They copied it perfectly, and they also had enough there for audiences that have never played the game and for audiences who have played the game, and they gave them something different. That is what I was hoping they would give us in season 2, and I have been so excited for this season because I am one of those people that actually loves The Last of Us Part 2. That is a very divisive game. A lot of people hate it, a lot of people love it, and a lot of people are mixed on it. I'm one of those people that loves it. I think it is a perfect sequel to The Last of Us and a story that when you try to follow up The Last of Us, and when you try to follow up that masterpiece of a game, it is going to be hard to try and top that, and it's going to be hard to even try to follow up that or try to make a sequel to that type of game. And the way I thought they did it for The Last of Us Part 2, I absolutely loved. I thought it was a great game. I don't think it's better than the first game by any means, but I do think it is a worthy follow up and a perfect follow up to The Last of Us. And so when they said that they were going to be doing season 2, which came no surprise to us gaming fans who knew that that part 2 was probably going to be adapted into season 2. I was not ready. Because the emotional roller coaster that we go on The Last of Us, the first one, is nothing compared to part 2 because for those of you who have not played The Last of Us Part 2, please do not watch these videos because these will be spoiler-filled reviews and I will be going into in-depth thoughts and comparing it to the game a lot. So if you have not played the Last of Us Part 2, please do not watch these videos, and please just go and play them for yourselves, or just go watch other people play them, or something like that. Just try and find a way to watch The Last of Us Part 2 so you know what you're going to be expecting for the next few weeks. So, with that all out of the way, here are my spoiler thoughts on The Last of Us Season 2, Episode 1, Future Days. So right out of the bat, where we pick up on season 2 is where we left off. It's season 1. At the end of season 1, we find out that Joel finds out that Ellie's immunity does mean something, and you can make a cure, but it has to come from the cordyceps. For those of you who don't know, the cordyceps grows inside the brain, and so that means Ellie would have had to die if they were going to make a cure. He did not want that to happen, and so he killed every single Firefly in the hospital and took Ellie with him and lied to her and said that there was no cure. Her immunity basically meant nothing, and all of that was for nothing. We pick up right after that, and we also pick up to where we also meet Abby, and which I was not expecting. We met Abby, and we got introduced to Abby very quickly, which I did not expect. I did not know. I didn't think they would do that because if you played the game, we do not get introduced to Abby until like maybe the first 2 hours into the second game, if that. So I was a bit surprised that we got introduced to her very early on, like literally the opening 10 minutes of the show. And so we kind of follow her, and we see, and I like the idea and what they said in behind the scenes thing after the episode, which I thought was actually kind of a cool idea that they added it sooner, is that we get to see the aftermath of Joel's actions and see the people that were affected by his actions and the people that were affected by him killing all the fireflies in the hospital. We get to see the people that were actually affected by it. I thought that was really cool. Then when they said that, 'cause I was like, okay, I see why they did it then. But it was just like I don't know. I don't know how they felt about introducing Abby so soon, but we'll just see how it is because it is only the first episode. But yeah, I thought that was really cool. And then we pick up 5 years later after that, and we see that Joel and Ellie are not as close as they were. They basically are strangers to each other. They don't talk to each other. There's something happened in between those 5 years, and us as an audience who played the games, we know why the reason is. But people who haven't seen it are just probably going to question it. And I won't discuss that here. I will wait until we actually get the reveal, so people actually have to wait in suspense. I'm not going to spoil that part. That's the only thing you don't get spoiled about in this video. So, and then we just find out they're strangers to each other at this point, and Joel is trying to figure it out. He knows there's something wrong, and he's going to therapy, and he's talking to this girl named Gabe. I'm pretty sure Gabriel, if I'm not mistaken. I could be very mistaken. It's played by the mom in Beetlejuice, whatever they named her in the show. And he's going to therapy, and he's trying to talk it out with her and try to figure out what could possibly be wrong with him and Ellie, and what is going on. But and that was a brilliantly done scene where I think it was just as good, if not better, than the opening of part two. Because in the opening of The Last of Us Part Two, not Ellie, Joel and Tommy, which is Joel's brother, they're sitting in a abandoned house, and he's cleaning a guitar, and that's basically our recap. The opening of The Last of Us Part Two is basically a recap of what happened in Part One. And he's sitting there and he's telling Tommy what would have happened to Ellie and what they had to do to Ellie if they wanted to make a cure. And he said that he saved her, and he just never told her what the real reason was. And we basically get the same exact thing here, but it's in a therapy session where she knows Joel is hiding something. She knows that Joel is hiding something where he does not want to share it it's slowly killing him on the inside, not saying it out loud, because what he did to possibly piss off Ellie to where they don't talk to each other anymore, and where Ellie basically hates him right now, she knows there's a reason, but he just doesn't want to share it. That was a perfectly written scene. That was a perfectly performed scene. And my standout for this entire episode had to go to Pedro Pascal. Pedro Pascal was absolutely amazing in this episode, and just shows that he was a perfect casting choice for Joel for this adaptation, because I really love what he's been doing with this character, especially in season one. But I really love what they did here. I love how they made him older, to where he's sitting there with his glasses, just sitting there like fixing like fucking power breakers or whatever it is that he's fixing in the episode. Like the fact that they kind of made him feel older and stuff like that, where those 5 years kind of caught up to him, where he has grayer hair and he's kind of moving slower, kind of like I really liked how they did that for Joel. But the fact that they made him older, I'm a little mixed on this. Is Bella Ramsey? I love her as Ellie. I think she's doing an amazing job as her. I loved her in season one. And I think she's doing just as good as a job in the show right now, which hopefully she's going to be putting up Emmy like fucking performances with this show for the type of character arc Ellie goes through in part two. Well, I really enjoy what she's doing here, but I really wish they made her look older, because in The Last of Us Part 1, she's 14 years old, and in Part 2, she's 19. Now, you can definitely tell that she's aged a bit between those two games, and you can tell there's a bit of a difference, but it's just like, okay, she still looks the same. She just looks a little bit older. And that's it. And, like, nothing's changed. She's just a little bit older, and maybe has more attitude, if anything, I guess. But like in this season so far, like I never felt like Ellie was older. I still feel like she's still 14. Like I'm looking at Bella, and I'm like, okay, you still just look like you're 14 years old. You have not looked like you've aged 5 years. You have not looked like you've grown at all or anything like that. I never liked the idea of them recasting her. That was a whole thing about that after the season one ended, where it's just like they need to recast Bella to make Ellie look older in season two. They need to get a new person so it looks more like Ellie or whatever. It's just like I thought that would have been a terrible idea if they decided to just up and just recast her for no fucking reason in my mind, which is like they're just because she doesn't look older, you should recast her. That would not make sense. That would confuse audiences. That would confuse you. Like if you were to binge this show and you like if you were to binge this show and you finish season one, and then Ellie's a whole new actress in season two, would not sit right by me. So I'm glad they didn't do that. I just wish they did something to where it looked like Bella had aged 5 years, because it clearly can tell that she did not age the 2 years they were making this show. So yeah, that's just a small thing that kind of bothered me. I kind of get why people were complaining about it online, but it wasn't a huge issue. It was just like, okay, I can tell she hasn't aged, and I'm kind of bummed they haven't done anything about that. But overall, that was fine. And what I really liked about this episode, and what they did sooner, and I'm glad that they didn't do it as flashbacks like they did in the video game, is that they actually did the whole New Year's dance thing like in this episode, because we do not find out about the New Year's Eve dance until like literally like the final 2 hours of Last of Us Part Two. Like the final 2 hours, that is one of the final cutscenes that you get in that game. It's just like, I don't know why we're getting shown this now and stuff like that, because in the opening of part two, we jump 5 years and then they discuss that. It's just like, oh, this happened last night and stuff like that. They're talking about that, but we never really find out. We only get clues of what have happened. We found out that Ellie and Dina kissed. We find out that this old guy called them a certain word and all that, and Joel got involved or something. Like, they explain it and they give us hints to where we're like, okay, we kind of know what happened, but they never show us until like the final 2 hours of the game. And I am very glad they decided to do that now, because I thought that was really weird that how they always misplaced how they had random flashbacks in the in the second game. So I'm glad that they had that first and they recreated that moment beautifully to where it was literally just ripped right out of the video game. Like, it was like line for line. It was like line for line, and it was scene for scene, to where it was just like it was perfectly. It was just cut and paste. Like, they literally just took that scene and they just refilmed it just with new actors. Like, that is what I've loved about this show and about this adaptation of The Last of Us, is that they take scenes literally from the fucking game and they just recreate it perfectly. And then they also add new things. And another thing that I like that they added, and another thing that they discussed before the show came out, is that they added more infected. Now, it's not a big deal for me when it came to season one, because The Last of Us has never been about the apocalypse in my mind. That has never been what this show is about. This show has never been about infected. It's never been about zombies. It's never been about that. It's been about the journey that Joel and Ellie went on and the journey that Ellie goes on. It's been about their story and their journeys. The infected, they just so happen to show up every now and then. And it's barely noticeable that they don't show up much in season one. Like, you're so invested in Joel and Ellie's journey and their story that you kind of forget that they're in infected and they're in apocalypse and bunch of infected. But what I do like that they decided to add here, so you remember that, and you remember you're kind of watching a horror show at the same time, and a survival show, is that they added more infected, and they also added the Stalker, which is one of the fucking creepiest things in the video game, and the things that I hate the most because they keep sneaking up on me. I hate them. So then I felt like they recreated the Stalker perfectly here, and I thought it was weird how they made it to where it was like a new version of Infected in the show, to where they just found out about the Stalker. They've never seen it before. Like, I felt that was weird. I was just like, okay, I get what you're trying to do. You're trying to make it look like the infected are involving and the infected are becoming new, but it's just like, well, I don't know why would we do this now? It's just like, okay, that's like the second stage of infected. Why are we just now finding out about this? But I don't know. But overall, I thought this was a great episode. This was a great premiere episode. I thought it was just great to be back in this world. It was great to see these actors portray these roles again. Pedro Pascal was an absolute standout, as he always is whenever he's in something. I thought this was a great premiere episode for season two, and I am not ready. Not ready for this emotional roller coaster, because after replaying The Last of Us Part 2, and then seeing how they're going to adapt it, I am not ready to relive all of this. I am so excited to see what the show's going to offer. I'm so excited some of the new things they're going to offer. Season 3 already got renewed because they did talk about how this story is too big to do for a single season, so they're going to do multiple for Part 2. I'm very excited for that. I'm really excited to see what this season is going to look like and what it will possibly set up for season three. I am very excited for this show, but let me know what you guys thought about this, about season two, episode one, down in the comments below, and we shall talk about it. If you like this video, like it. If you love it, subscribe to the bell notification so you will get notified for all my latest videos. And of course, until my next video, I'll see you all next time.